Hi everybody and welcome to Cap at Home. My name's Miss Allie and today we're going to be making Alexander Calder inspired paper sculptures. So the materials that we're going to need today is a piece of paper. It can be any color. I like to use cardstock because it's a little thicker, but it can be any type of paper that you have. Some markers, colored pencils or crayons, and a pair of scissors. So let's get started. The first thing that we need to do is take our paper and fold it in half. Hot dog style or vertically. So I like to make sure I have a good fold. And then we're going to open it up and we're going to cut along this line. So again, I like to use cardstock because it's a little thicker and easier to balance, but whatever type of paper, any size paper or any colored paper is just fine. So we're going to take our half piece and set that aside because we don't need that. And we have our piece of paper, our rectangle. So this is when we're actually going to decorate. So you can use any type of patterns, shapes, colors, anything that you'd like to decorate. And you can decorate both sides differently. So in some of my examples that I have here, I have some different sizes, different shapes, different patterns on both sides. Some circles, zigzags, lines, checkered pattern, anything like that. So you can go ahead and take a marker and throw the marker and take the marker and decorate. So I'm going to do something kind of simple just for the sake of time. But again, you can do anything that you'd like and as detailed as you'd like it to be. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Calder's work. So he is known for making sculptures that rely on balance. He is actually known for making a lot of wire sculptures that hang down as mobiles. So he uses a lot of simple shapes, simple colors, but it relies on balance. So it's a very untraditional sculpture where it doesn't rely on just standing on a pedestal. It's actually usually floating or a sort of these wire crazy different types of shapes. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing today, making a paper sculpture that relies on balance. And at the end, I'll give you the option of making it hanging as well. So again, I'm just kind of doing this simple circle pattern on one side. I'm going to flip it over and use a different color to do a different pattern and shape. So I'm going to do a couple hearts, because why not? Again, it can be any shape, any color, any different pattern, design, totally up to you. And it can be as detailed as you want it to be. I'm just doing this kind of quick for the sake of time. And you've actually probably seen a Calder sculpture if you've ever been to a museum like the DIA, the Art Museum in Toledo, or any other art museum. He has quite a few sculptures in the U.S., and they're usually hanging with wires, have these really interesting shapes and colors on it. And so you've actually probably seen one in person, but maybe not realize it was him. So, with your rectangle that's now decorated on either side, you're actually just going to fold it in half. Make sure the edges line up. Make sure you have a really good fold, really good crease. And now you're going to hold it up like this, and you want your folded side to be on the left side. And we're going to cut some lines going towards the folded line, but don't cut up to it, because that way, that's how you make it cut off, and you don't want that. So we're actually going to cut until you get about a centimeter or two away from the fold, and you're going to do these like repeating backwards L shapes. And you can do them with simple curved lines, or you can make them zigzag if you like. I have some of my examples here is a little bit wavy lines, and this one is an example of just some straight lines. So it can be anything that you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and take my scissors and just cut some simple lines. And you want to make sure that you have a good amount of space in between your cuts so that you know that it's going to stand upright. And by that, I mean you want to make sure that these all have about a good amount of space. So this last cut you can make into a funny shape. You could make it into like a pyramid shape if you wanted. You could also make some zigzags. So the top one, you know which one is the top, but then you could also just make some sort of interesting outer layer. So I might go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to add some sort of wavy curve lines. This is, again, just to kind of give the outer layer, the top one, some interesting dynamics. So I'm going to take my scraps and put them aside, put my scissors down, and now I have this sort of paper sculpture. So I want to make sure that I'm folding each part outwards. So, and you want to make sure they go in separate directions. So starting from the top, I have these two, and I'm going to fold one way and one the other way. So they're kind of going opposite directions. And you're going to do that with every fold. And you might have to mess around with your paper for a minute while you do this. Make sure they're all going different directions. And I like to kind of turn it because this way you get a different view of it. And so this is kind of an interesting sculpture because it's called a sculpture in the round, meaning that you look at it from every side and every direction instead of like a painting where you see it just like one direction. So if you were to turn this, it would look different from every way that you looked at it. And I like to kind of make it turn so you can see both different patterns on both sides. So at this point, you can be done and just have your sculpture. When you get at the position that you want it, like I said, you might have to mess with it a little bit. But when you get at the position that you want, you can be done and just leave it as a sculpture that sits on your desk. Or you can make it hanging. And again, this kind of goes back to the mobiles that I was talking about that Alexander Calder makes. And so you can add a little hole at the top of your paper to make it hanging, or you can tie it in between your top two layers and make a hanging, add some string, wire, anything like that, and hang it like that. You can do it any way that you want, or you could make a couple different hanging ones and hang them all from the same thing, and then it would be like a mobile of your own. So it's up to you if you want to leave it on your table, if you want to make it hanging. But to clean up, we want to make sure that our scraps get thrown away. Our markers have caps on them. If you use colored pencils or crayons, they're put back to where you had them. And when your space looks exactly how it was when we started, then you are all done and you can show off your awesome Calder sculpture. So again, it relies on balance. So you can again keep it on the table, you can give it to someone to keep on their desk or keep on your own desk, or you can have it hanging and you can make more than one and have them hang and make your own mobile. So again, it relies on balance, symmetry. It's a very untraditional type of sculpture, and you can use any type of paper that you want. I think cardstock is the easiest to balance, but whatever paper you have at home is just fine, in any color. And the more intricate your designs go, the more interesting it looks when it's all finished. So make sure you do some different designs, shapes, and colors on both sides. And thank you for watching today's Cap at Home session. Be sure to watch our next session coming up soon.